like, you have to start wondering, what is the pull and what is the involvement of the Chinese Communist Party within Canadian politics?
There needs to be an extremely strict investigation done on this issue.
A top secret document claims that at least 11 candidates and 13 staffers were implicated in foreign interference.
The tragic occurrence that happened
On Bondi Beach.
Yes, sir. I
Absolutely.
think we need to give those people their due respect.
In Quebec, 37% of taxpayers make less than the basic personal amount of $18,000 a year, and as such, pay zero income tax. Yet, they reap the same benefits as you and I.
It's going to take a huge slap in the face, an economic slap in the face, for most people to wake up and realize this is not working and I'm falling apart.
The 2026 Equalization payment graph, map, numbers dropped last week, and it's as ugly as ever.
The Canadian Tax Scam Quebec edition. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Right Call Podcast, everyone. This is the holiday special. Ho, ho, ho. Simmer, are you feeling jolly?
I'm always feeling jolly.
You're always feeling jolly.
Especially when I see you.
Well, guys, this is maybe going to be a very special episode. So, episode 102 today. This is the last one of the year of 2025. Time flies.
Absolutely.
We'll take a little holiday break, celebrate, the festivities.
With the family.
The family.
I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. And most importantly, the people that need to have the merriest of Christmas are our Patreons. So I got to say thank you to Céline, Pierre, Sylvie, Tim, and a new one, Patricus.
Wow.
Patrick, perhaps. Pat. Regardless, thank you so much. Oh, and Aaron. Aaron is just the all-star contributor. We have to always put him at the end because he's the special one. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. And most importantly, I hope Santa Claus is very good to you guys. There you go. And on that note, today, plenty happened over the week. We have the Conservative Party that is now scrambling to try to, root out all the defectors. The Liberals. The Liberals are one away from majority. This is great.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about Quebec and its taxation, something we spoke about last year, but I want to do a redo. I want to do a redo and really show people just, the rich perhaps already pay their fair share. Equalization payment schedule came out. So we now know just how much the rest of Canada is going to suck from the tit of Alberta and Saskatchewan. Okay. Mostly Quebec, a little bit of Ontario, and the Maritimes.
Mm-hmm.
They're our favorite leeches of this fair country of ours. I wanted to compare something. Yesterday night, you and I shared a brewski together, and we discussed the difference between the U.S. and Canada. Most importantly, it's exhibited in the citizenship oath. I think this is a very interesting thing. We're going to dive into it. I want to get a little bit into perhaps even philosophy, some philosophy that ties into politics. This is going to be an episode where we make you think. And we cannot conclude today's episode without talking about the tragedy that happened and I've been told I was pronouncing it wrong. It's not Bondi Beach, it's Bondi Beach or Bondi Beach. But in Australia, yesterday, at the hands of absolutely crazy lunatics, two lunatics, father and son.
Radical Islamists.
As I take a sip of some proteins, which, by the way, according to some Canadians during a Senate hearing, or was it a House hearing, whatever, but if you're in the gym and you drink protein and you take care of your health, you are probably a radical. That's what they say. But we're not going to be talking about that today. We're just going to say that whoever said that is an absolute loser. Anyways, so yes, this is going to be today's episode. Did you have anything else?
Well, I really wanted to talk about, we talked about the Canadian tax scam.
Mm-hmm.
We did it in Ontario. Yep. And, there was a mistake that I made, but overall, it was a very well-received video and people really understood what we were trying to convey on compounding taxes.
Yep.
And so today we're going to do, like you said, the Canadian Tax Scam Quebec edition.
Oh, baby.
And so we're going to bring this real home, close to home, because we're from Quebec, you and I.
Sadly.
And so I think today is a great time to show Canadians before the end of the year, while they're buying all their Christmas gifts, who they reward the most, who always gets the biggest reward from their income, and that's the government, le gouvernement.
I was going to say
who
their daddy really is.
Yeah.
Right.
And also I do want to talk a little bit about the tragic occurrences. Like you want to talk about that. That's what I prepared to. I want to talk. I want to get into that. So
we'll talk about Bondi Beach. It's
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Let's start a little bit closer to home though. In Canada,
Mhm.
another massive slap across the face to voters.
Right.
Conservative MP Michael Ma defects to the Liberals, angering, rightfully so, the voters of Markham Unionville. That's his riding. So, elected as a Conservative in April 2025, Ma announced his switch on Thursday, boosting the Liberals to 171 seats, one away from being able to have a majority. Obviously, Carney welcomed him at the Liberal holiday gathering, which is really funny, by the way, because or Michael, Ma, whatever, attended the Conservative Christmas party the night before, partied his heart out. The next day, announces he's defecting, and then that evening attends the Liberal party. So, you know what? That's the Liberal way. How can you scam your way into
two-faced?
Yeah, pretty much.
And the worst part is that there are, I don't know if it's rumors or fact, but I believe it's fact that it was confirmed that he met with the CCP
Absolutely.
before
Absolutely.
choosing to defect. And so we have to talk about foreign interference.
Oh, huge. And we'll lead to that. But, he says it was done in consultation with his constituents, which we know is absolute BS.
The CCPs.
Yeah, good point. My take is this. If it was truly done in consultation with his constituents, why not do the right thing by them and let them vote? Resign and call a by-election. Present yourself once again as the member of parliament for that riding, but this time under the Liberal banner, and let a Conservative candidate battle it out with you. Let the voters decide. Because here's the thing. And I agree, in our system, we elect a member of parliament. We don't elect a party per se. However, the party affiliation is a huge determiner of who you vote for. Because the reality is this, nobody's actually getting to know their member of parliament. It should be that way, but nobody does that. People get to know the party, they get to know the leader, they get to know the platform that the MP, the candidate, represents. So in no way, shape, or form do I believe that his constituents who elected him, and which, by the way, they elected a Liberal prior to him, they wanted a change, as most Canadians do. And now all of a sudden, you're going to backstab all of them, and you're going to pretty much laugh in the face of democracy. That, to me, is a huge issue. Call a by-election. Let people vote. And if you win, then you have a mandate. Congratulations. I'd support you. You were elected. But just crossing the floor like that is some shady shit.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious that it's just backroom deals to try to sneak a majority, right? A majority that Canadians did not vote for. And so you have to know that Michael Ma did not make this decision out of this patriotic calling from Jesus. He didn't. That's not what he did, right? Essentially, that he made a deal that benefited himself.
Absolutely.
Right? And he spat on the face of his voters, people that he went door knocking, people that he told that, I support Pierre Poilievre's vision. He took a picture with Pierre Poilievre the night before.
Yeah.
And so you come to realize what a two-faced person this person truly is. And it really, Chris d'Entremont, same thing, right? And you can see that it's really just these guys trying to bring the Liberals closer to a majority, so they have majority rule until 2029, I believe. And it's against what the voters voted for. It's completely undemocratic. And, when even the NDP former leader, what's his name? He talks on
Jagmeet Singh.
No. He comments a lot on shows. I gotta find his name. Former what was NDP leader Tom Mulcair.
Yeah, Thomas Mulcair. Yeah.
When Tom Mulcair, a former NDP leader, even completely disagrees with floor crossing and thinks that there should be limitations placed on it, you realize that this is not a partisan issue. This is not just it's a conservative defecting to liberals, so we're like up in arms because it's a conservative, because I personally vote conservative. So it's not about that. It's about how unpatriotic it is.
Absolutely.
And even even Rachel Gilmore, I believe we talked about this, but even Rachel Gilmore is kind of concerned about how this is happening. And so when, a radical lunatic like Rachel Gilmore and a former NDP leader are concerned about the ethics of crossing the floor, you know that this is an issue, this is a democratic issue. And it represents the way Mark Carney wants to run this government.
Well, the thing is, there is no better remedy than shining light and truth by letting voters vote. That's democracy. But again, maybe this was never about democracy to begin with, right? Because, and you mentioned it, the Chinese Communist Party. There is a connection here. There is a very big connection. So let's start with this. I'm going to show a video. This video right here is, I'd say, would raise any question for any astute viewer who's paying attention. Tell me who you see in this video. So you have Michael Ma at what appears to be a celebration or an event or a rally for China. And by the way, the video is not playing the sound right now, but I've listened to it with sound, and they're singing the Chinese national anthem. It makes you question, once again, the allegiance of our elected officials.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you partaking in what is so clearly a Chinese first rally when you are an elected member of parliament for Canada? Your allegiance should be to Canada, not to a foreign fucking nation. And we'll talk about that after, by the way. We'll talk about allegiances. But where it gets even more daunting, aside from the fact that you're attending what seems to be a Chinese Communist Party sponsored rally, is that this entire fiasco is happening in the same writing that the Zhou Te and the Paul Chiang event fiasco itself happened as well. And to remind the viewers, the Hong Kong police force, their division called the National Security Department, issued a warrant for Zhou Te's arrest and offered a bounty of over $1 million Hong Kong dollars. By the way, Zhou Te was a Conservative Party candidate for that riding. Did not get elected, but still, okay, he had to back out. It was alleged that Te violated the Hong Kong national security law, which is a very controversial law that China kind of forced Hong Kong to adopt, which allows anyone within Hong Kong to be deported to mainland China if they violate the security of Hong Kong. It's a great way to control the people. And they're claiming that he is being charged with inciting secession, colluding with foreign forces, and other crimes as well. The warrant and bounty are widely criticized as a form of transnational repression to silent dissent, as well as an attempt to interfere with Canada's upcoming election. Now, why am I saying this? Well, already it's a little concerning that a foreign country is trying to arrest a political candidate here. But Paul Chiang, who was at the time the Liberal MP for the riding of Markham Unionville, during a Chinese media news conference held in Chinese, said that Zhou Te should be reported to the Toronto Chinese consulate in exchange for that $1 million Hong Kong dollar bounty that was placed by the police on him. So you have, again, an elected official of Canada supporting a foreign nation at the expense of a resident of Canada. That is textbook definition of treason. That is treasonous.
I totally understand where you're coming from.
Now, this whole ordeal, again, is the same riding that Michael Ma was elected in now, and as a conservative. And 3 days, like you mentioned, 3 days prior to defecting to the Liberal side, he met with the Chinese ambassador to Canada. Boom, 3 days later, Liberal. You have to start wondering, what is the pull and what is the involvement of the Chinese Communist Party within Canadian politics?
There needs to be an extremely strict investigation done on this issue.
And this is bad because I'm on TikTok. TikTok's going to ban me after saying this. I'm live on TikTok. Speaking of CCP. Anyways, but there was an investigation done. There was. See, CSIS, our security, or CIA, effectively Canada, right? Canada's Security Intelligence Services, warned the Prime Minister's office, the PMO's office, in 2023 that China clandestinely and deceptively interfered in our election. This is our intelligence services saying that China interfered in our election. A top secret document claims that at least 11 candidates and 13 staffers were implicated in foreign interference. 11 candidates, not one.
Yeah.
11 fucking candidates.
Yeah.
That is insane.
It is.
Oh. Now, mind you, you brought her up, but even, Rachel Gilmore, indeed, she posted something on Twitter, on X. I agree with her. She said, I will say that I find it very shady and mildly undemocratic that the Liberals are trying to obtain a majority they weren't elected on through floor crossings. That and minority governments are better for democracy due to the compromise they necessitate. Oh, well. So to that I said, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Anyways, the whole Michael Moss shit, I think Carney is going to get his majority.
Yeah, look, the strategy he's been implementing is obviously working. He's obviously doing backroom deals with MPs. He did it with Chris D'Entremont. He's doing backroom deals, and that's what he's gonna do to get his majority. And that's what you get from politicians, right?
Oh, fuck. Dude, I am not ready to have 5 years of Liberal in power. They're going to ram through all those bills. Now, an interesting kind of side note, and we'll move on after, but it kind of created this paradigm where, sorry, the proteins are coming back up. Anyways, it created this paradigm where Elizabeth May, our favorite drunk in Parliament, is now officially the most powerful woman in Canada. Yeah. I mean, she is.
Her vote
is the balance of power.
Yeah.
It's like the Bloc Québécois votes en bloc. The NDP, they're gay. So now you have the Green. I mean, the Greens are pretty bad as well, but I mean, Elizabeth May. So our entire democracy now hinges on whether this lady has had one too many drinks today. Fuck. We're screwed. Anyways, moving on a little bit closer to home. This was Canada. Now let's move to Quebec. Let's talk about the Quebec tax scam.
Let's do it.
Go ahead, sir.
I'd love to. So, the Canadian tax scam Quebec edition, because we are from Quebec and we need to talk about this.
Talk about the poutine?
Oui.
OK.
Les taxes qu'on paye pour manger les poutines.
On est une audience en anglais. Parlons en anglais, s'il te plaît.
Yes, sir. So, let's talk about the Canadian tax scam Quebec edition. Let's get into it.
All right.
So, the average Quebec worker earns around $51,000 a year.
Nice.
From their salary. The government takes immediately $12,000 between federal tax, Quebec income tax, QPP, and employment insurance. That amounts to around $12,000 out of the $51,000 that the person earned. So that's almost a quarter gone before you even start to live.
Yeah.
Right? So you're left with $39,000 roughly, which amounts to about $3,250 a month.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, the average rent in Quebec is about half of that, which is $1,500. So let's spend it like an average person, that $3,250. Average rent in Quebec, $1,520, on which you're charged property tax. Like property tax is baked into the price of your rent.
Absolutely. Take a second here, right?
Yeah.
Because we had made in the past a video that talks about how much taxes in general a Canadian pays. And when we baked in at the time the municipal taxes, people said, well, if you're living on fucking $50,000 a year, you're not fucking buying a property as such. You're not going to pay municipal tax. This is where people are wrong. It's important to understand this. The landlord is directly capable of passing on the cost of property taxes, school taxes to you. And their yearly increase is one of the few things that they can directly tack on to a rent increase. That was that.
Thank you.
No problem.
So average grocery bill for the average person is about $450 a month. Average car payment on a car, $400. All of these are taxed, by the way. So in the groceries, you pay all the taxes that all the manufacturer, the trucking, you pay taxes on that. So you pay carbon tax, you pay fuel excise tax. So those are baked into the price that you pay at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Your car payment, taxed at 15%. Insurance, tax 15%, the QST, GST, that's what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
all the things that you need for your necessity are also taxed additionally at 15%. If you buy $200 of gas, about 33% of that is just pure tax.
Oh, but on top of that, part of the gas, you also have the public transport and the green tax in Quebec, at least, attached to it as well. It's even worse than what it appears.
Phone, internet, hydro, heating, it's a few $100s a month, all included. It's all taxed at 15%. So before any savings, before any fun, before your emergencies, essentially most of your money is basically gone.
Pretty much.
Okay. And buried inside every price you pay is the carbon tax, fuel tax, sales tax, trucking tax. So all the taxes the trucking company had to pay. The corporate tax of all the corporations involved in you purchasing that final good, import duties, inflation, you don't see them charged separately, but they're in the price that you pay at the cash register.
Yeah.
And so by the time you finish living a normal month in Quebec, another 20 to 25% of your income disappears through consumption and those hidden taxes that we're talking about. So that $51,000 salary, you don't really control any of that money.
Yeah.
It's all gone into just surviving. And so 12,000 out of that 51,000, 12,000 has gone to income taxes, 10 to 12,000 gone to sales taxes, fuel taxes, rent related taxes, and hidden taxes. You're left with maybe $25,000 a year of purchasing power, and that's what you spend on your survival,
Nice.
your necessities.
So and then on top of that, you got to plan for your retirement, and people are left with barely anything.
And you have to wonder, you pay all these taxes for what? For services, right?
Mhm.
And what do Quebecers actually get in return for this insane amount of taxes that they pay?
Potholes.
Emergency rooms with insane wait times. We pay a tremendous amount of our taxes. A tremendous amount of the taxes we pay goes towards healthcare.
Yeah.
And we don't have a suitable healthcare system. We have egregious wait times in this country, especially in Quebec. We have roads that completely destroy your vehicle, right?
Facts.
Housing that you cannot afford. A public sector that's always on strike. We're talking about STM. We're talking about Canada Post. Services that barely work. And so essentially, Quebecers are not paying taxes for a social contract. They're not paying taxes for a system that is working as intended. They're essentially getting extracted financially.
They're being milked.
And so Quebec doesn't have high taxes because services are great. Services are collapsing despite the crazy taxes that we pay. That's the Canadian tax scam, Quebec edition.
Quebec edition. Let's make it worse. Let's really, there's nothing I want to let our viewers go to the holidays with as much as this massive tax hangover that we're giving them today. Because you've shown how much people were taxed. However, what it doesn't really contribute or doesn't really exemplifies is just how much a small group of people get taxed a lot and a big group of people are just leeches on society. See, I have a graph right here, and this is about to show that the rich pay more than their fair share. This ranks Quebec's taxpayers in terms of salary versus their contribution to the income system. This blows my mind every time I read it. In Quebec, 37% of taxpayers make less than the basic personal amount of $18,000 a year, and as such, pay zero income tax. Zero. More than a third of Quebec taxpayers fucking contribute nothing to the system, yet they reap the same benefits as you and I. Now, even further than that, 162,000 of them have declared a revenue of $0 or less because they're eligible for certain tax credits. 68% of them are women.
Uh-oh.
Where
are the feminists?
Yeah.
Where are the feminists?
Now, 75% of the taxpayers of the population of Quebec makes less than 50,000. These numbers are a little bit older, so you can adjust them a little bit for inflation, right? It falls within what you said. So 75% make less than 50,000 and to themselves contribute 23% of the entire tax base. Meanwhile, 25% of taxpayers make more than $50,000 and to themselves contribute 77% of the entire tax that is collected in the province. But here's where it gets really messed up. Only 5% of the population makes more than $100,000 a year, but to themselves, that tiny group contributes 36% of all income tax collected. That means that they pay 720% more than the average taxpayer to themselves. Do they get 720% better services? Fuck no. They get the same as you and I, but they contribute 720% more. But wait, I'm not done. Because only 0.6% earn more than $250,000 a year, $250,000 a year. And yet, that tiny, minuscule sliver of the population pays to themselves 14% of all taxes collected in Quebec. That means that they pay 2,330% more taxes than the average worker.
So you know what that tells you, right, Elliot? When socialist bums say tax the rich, you can see how it does not actually work in Quebec.
Well, honorable
They
mention.
already are paying most of the taxes, as you illustrate.
Exactly. We have to give a little bit of an honorable mention here. 3,100 people declared more than $1 million in a year.
38?
3,100.
Okay.
3,100 people declared more than $1 million.
Okay.
84% of them were men. Again, sorry, feminists. In reality, without the rich, the poor would be destitute, and all of their precious social programs would wither away. You know, they keep saying, tax the rich, tax the rich. You need the fucking rich. Without them, you got nothing. How about you stop with that? And to the 1/3+ % of the population that don't pay a single penny to the state in taxes, yet reap the exact same benefits as the others, they're the ones who need to step up and pay their fair share.
Well said.
Bam! So that's the Quebec tax scam part 2. There's a graph, by the way. I'll just show you the graph real quick because I didn't show it on TV. But I just want to show you just so you see a little bit what I mean. The numbers are slightly... Oops, that's Stage Manager. Did I just really press Stage Manager? Never press Stage Manager.
And I mean, while you look for it, there's an additional cost that people are not talking about, and that's the brain drain effect of excessive taxation, right? Because, I mean, just one of my personal, very close friends grew up in Quebec, studied in Quebec, benefited from Quebec's social services, whatever they are, became a doctor, left Quebec.
That happens a lot.
It happens a tremendous amount. And essentially it happens because the rich are so disproportionately paying such an excessive amount of taxes. And we're not even talking about the rich. Let's talk about the middle class. We're talking about people who are earning $51,000 a year. That's the example I illustrated, right? $51,000 is the average salary. And these people are paying close to 40% of their income in taxes.
It's wild. And I have a very similar story too. I had a good friend of mine, grew up playing hockey with him, went to school with him. Same thing, he became a doctor, an anesthesiologist, and he's practicing in the US. One of the brightest minds I've ever met, bar none. And he told me, because I asked him, I'm like, so, you know, he did practice a little bit here. He told me, look, listen, in terms of just equipment, we're like decades behind from the US. In terms of research, grants, money, we're decades behind. And let's not even talk about taxes and talk about salaries and whatnot. It's like, why would I want to stay here?
It's the same thing with growing a business, right? Why would you stay in Canada and pay this tax prison? You know, like when the Liberals, and we're just going to make a quick note of this, when the Liberals are talking about like keeping a company like Stellantis in Canada, right? And Stellantis takes $15 billion of federal Canadian tax dollars and then invested in the United States. That's the exact amount they invested down south with Donald Trump.
Pretty much.
And so when you see that happen, why wouldn't they stay in Canada? Is it because Canada is just not competitive on the tax front, on the business growth opportunity front. That's exactly why
Even
it
in the
is.
market front, though, even in the market, people have less disposable income here due to the taxation and due to the lower productivity and due to the lower salaries. The markets here are just smaller. I mean, I've done business in the US and I've done business in Canada, and even just the sales cycle in the US is quicker. Americans are just more willing to take a chance, a leap on something new. They'll give you one try. You fuck it up, you're out of there. But in Quebec, it's like, I got to run it by my board. We got to do a focus group. You know, do you want to do like a test project, maybe a pilot project? You know, we don't have the budget this year. It's holy crap, is it hard to do business here? But anyways, look at the graph right here.
Let's go.
So we can see. You know, 62,000 people declared a revenue of zero. It's in French, the graph. We'll clip the graph. We'll show it on the episode. But yeah, it's once you see that, you realize like the whole scam of like, oh, tax the rich, tax the rich. Dude, the rich are already taxed like a lot, like more than you can realize.
Just tell the socialist bums to contribute more. I'm so these kinds of graphs and statistics make me very, very anti-socialist. It makes me very anti-left.
Yeah.
Because these people are absolutely delusional with their political rhetoric, with their political ideology, when graphs and statistics like that illustrate how unbalanced our system already is. And they say, you know, when the liberals say, oh, the rich need to pay their fair share. Hey, they're already paying their fair share. It's time for you guys to get out of the way.
Absolutely.
Continue.
And this is why I love Alberta at the time. So
we didn't even talk about the equalization payments that Quebec takes from Alberta.
But let's lead into that, because I used to live in Alberta. That was many, many years ago. And back then, they actually had a flat taxation system. Their provincial income tax was a flat 10%. There was no brackets. Everyone was equal. And I was like a young man. I was like 20, 21 years old at the time. I was like, well, that makes sense. I remember the first paycheck I got in Alberta. I took my stub and I looked. Having worked, you know, for a few years in Quebec, I was expecting to see the provincial tax being considerably bigger than the federal tax. And much to my surprise, it was not. The federal tax was higher than the provincial tax. I was like, why is that? That's when I researched and realized it was just a flat 10%. Now, isn't that what equality truly is about? If we're all equal in society and we want to contribute to it, then it should be proportional. It should not be the rich pay more. That is the definition of inequality. But it's always, and it promotes mediocrity. Why would you step it up? If you're one of those 37% of Quebecois who don't fucking pay income tax, but yet reap all the benefits of society, what's the incentive to actually get up your ass? But provinces in the federal or the Federation of Canada act a bit the same. Because the 2026 equalization payment graph, map, numbers dropped last week. And it's as ugly as ever. Well, it depends for who, of course. For me, it's the hypocrisy, though, that provinces have with Alberta that is so striking. Actually, Alberta and Saskatchewan, I think I'm going to call them vassal provinces. You know what a vassal state is, right? So like an empire tends to have the primary state, which reaps all the benefits and the reward. And then they have their vassal states. They're basically the subordinate, the bitch states, which get the resources drained and sucked away in favor of the main land. Think Soviet Union, Russia versus, say, Estonia or Poland, right? Or Ukraine. Same thing in the Roman Empire, etc., etc., etc. Well, Alberta and Saskatchewan are the vassal provinces of Canada. And nowhere is it more reflected than with Quebec, because Quebec has this hypocrisy of always attacking oil and energy projects, yet number one beneficiary of these equalization payment. So first we're going to look at the graph, and then after that we're going to fucking break it down a bit because I got some shit to say about it, okay? But here's the graph. And have you seen the graph, by the way?
No,
not
I'd love
yet.
to see it.
Okay, so before we do, let's play a little game. There are three, so we have 10 provinces in Canada, right? There are 3 provinces in Canada that are getting fuck all in equalization payment. Which one are they?
Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Newfoundland.
Well, they're getting nothing. So that means they're paying. They're not receiving.
Okay.
Wait, where's Alberta in this?
Oh, Alberta.
Alberta, right?
Okay, all right.
It's always Alberta. It's always Alberta. Come on. You had a little derp moment. So
Yeah.
it's okay. That happens to the best of us. So the equalization payment graph we see right here. British Columbia will be getting $0. You guys are the losers this year. Alberta will be getting $0. You guys are always the losers this year. Saskatchewan will get $0 as well. Again, no big surprise. Manitoba is getting $5 billion. Ka-ching! Ontario is getting $406 million, which is actually surprising for apparently the economic powerhouse of fucking Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Quebec, our favorite leeches on the Federation, $13.9 billion with a capital B, baby. And then after that, we have Newfoundland and Labrador, 182 million. New Brunswick, 3.3 billion. Nova Scotia, 3.5 billion. And PEI, the tiny little retarded brother that loves potatoes and their sisters, $723 million. Are you surprised to see this?
No, not at all. Not at all. And this graph really represents the mentality of the province of Quebec. Just, we don't want to work. We just want to take. We contribute very little, but we're very entitled.
Well, that's the thing, right? Again, it's this entitlement. It's that entitlement of, look, we're more than happy to take that sweet oil money from Alberta, right?
Yeah.
We rip it from their hands. Yet, we won't even help in their economy by accepting pipeline. See, Quebec has historically resisted oil pipelines due to a lack of social acceptance, environmental concerns, and Indigenous opposition, leading to major project cancellations like, and this one was a big one, Energy East. Energy East would have been a pipeline that connected the west to the east. By the way, we have no pipelines that connect Alberta's oil sands to the refineries we have in the east. So that means all the fucking petrol, all the oil that we extract in Canada has to pass through the United States, US-owned pipelines, to come back to the east. So that's right. You know, Canada first, boys. Screw the US. We don't even have the ability to transport our own natural resources, and that's because of Quebec. They blocked that project that would have provided 1.1 million barrels per day capacity from Alberta to the east refineries for export. We've also blocked the GNL Quebec, which was a natural gas project. And yet, we're happy to take $13 billion, almost $14 billion of equalization payment. Then you have the Ontarians with their pompous, cosmopolitan, nose up in the air, arrogant attitude. Let's be honest, that's how they are. You know, they're all scuffing at what they perceive to be the Rube Albertan. But yet, give me that money, baby. Keep in mind, Alberta's GDP per capita is 30% higher than the national average, and Saskatchewan's GDP per capita is 20% higher than the national average.
You would think the rest of the country learns something from that number. You know, when millions of Canadians are lining up at food banks, when the Canadian dollar is tanking, it's at 69 cents US, 71 cents US, and it can't break out of that. When you see the federal debt levels, when you see the disaster that 80% of Canadians feel like they'll never be able to afford a home, you have to restructure your strategy, and maybe having a GDP per capita of 30% higher because of your oil exploration might be a good way to break it out of poverty, break out of poverty. Might help.
I have this guy right here, says another anglophone who always attacks Quebec and plays victim. Yo, le gros, je suis québécois.
Moi aussi.
Je viens du Québec, on est à Montréal.
Moi aussi, je suis un Québécois.
Donc, ouais, c'est ça. Like, nice try, bud. Nice try. Fuck, people are retarded. Anyways.
Just socialist bums.
I hope Alberta gets their independence. They deserve it. Which leads me to, by the way, a little argument I had with a guy who says, well, dude, Alberta's trying to kill Canada by leaving. And that made me laugh. I'm like, you're making my point. If a country cannot survive without leeching off of a province, then maybe it's justified in leaving itself. You know?
It's like the same thing. What you just said is equivalent to when Canadians complain about Trump raising tariffs and complain about the U.S. Our trade war with the U.S. Hey, if Canada was more sovereign in terms of their economy, what we produce, what we export, the U.S. would be begging us for a deal. But because we allow this ridiculous government corruption, this ridiculous government waste, fraud, and abuse at every level of government, because voters are uninformed, because they're not business-minded, because they are not free market capitalists to an extent in their mind, in their hearts, accept a lower quality of living, and then they complain that the US is, oh, they're bullying us. Hey, you wouldn't be bullied if you actually hit the gym and got in shape. You'd be tough. And that's what it comes down to our economy too. If our economy was quote unquote going to the gym and getting jacked and producing those quarterly profits, well, you wouldn't be so dependent on the United States. You would have a lot more leverage to negotiate with the United States. You would not suffer. Your economy would not suffer because the rest of the world would look at you and say, we want to invest there. We need what you have. And the world does need what we have, but socialist bums are slowing us down and making us weak and making us poor.
You're an extremist, Simmer. You're an extremest. You're gonna get arrested by the RCMP.
I'm an Indian immigrant, so if you try to arrest me, I'm just gonna call you racist and play your game against you. So cry about it.
By the way, Hub is back in the chat. Our favorite loser of the group is there watching us again. Hates us yet.
Shows up every episode.
Shows up every episode. Oh fuck. Anyways, speaking of the difference between Canada and the US, this came yesterday. You and I were having a conversation, and it made me realize. I did a little bit of research. I was curious to see, because we feel it. Canada and America are strikingly different. We're similar in so many ways, and yet our core, our ethos, our culture, our soul, our very being is fundamentally different. And I was trying to understand why. What's the difference? And then, you know what? I came across the citizenship oath of both countries. This is the oath that immigrants, that foreigners have to take, the last step before naturalization, before becoming citizens of a country. And nowhere is the difference between Canada and the US better exemplified than in the respective citizenship oath of both countries. One is strong, proud, patriotic. It instills in you this virtue. And the other, well, I'll let you find out for yourself. So here is
it's more inclusive.
So here is the citizen. And once I read it, I want you to tell me the words, the feelings it elicits in you. Okay. Let's try to keep it like feelings. Okay. In the US, in front of a judge, before becoming a citizen, you must do the following. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, so help me God. What does it make you feel?
Basically, what it's saying is, this is your country now, and if you want to be accepted here, you need to adopt this country fully. Mm-hmm. This is your country now. Forget where you came from. This is where you're at, and this is your new allegiance has to be to us.
Yeah,
it's like entering a tribe,
and you have to be willing to put your life on the line ultimately, and you have to renounce all the other past that you have. Amazing. Now let's compare this to Canada. Same thing. I want you to tell me what you feel after. Okay. Let me get into my Canadian vibe now. I was American at heart for a second. I was imagining myself reading it. Okay. I swear or affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty, King Charles III, King of Canada, his heirs and successors, that I will faithfully observe the laws of Canada, including the Constitution, which recognizes and affirms the Aboriginal and treaty rights of First Nations, Inuits, and Métis people, and fulfill my duties as a Canadian citizen. Sorry, I can't even say fucking with a straight face. Bro, leave it to Canada to insert woke, progressive, virtue-signaling cucking rituals in their citizenship oath. But anyways, yes, how did that make you feel?
Like it meant absolutely nothing. You're just saying a word salad to essentially affirm that.
But what about the Inuits, bro?
I live in this country now.
What about the fucking Inuits?
Yeah.
So this is at the core the difference between Canadians and fucking Americans. One is proud, and the other one, in its oath of office, is effectively cucking itself to a king, who's a foreign king, by the way, because he's not here, and then other nations that are not apparently us. Like from the get-go, you're not really Canadian. Anyways, you're just
Yeah. There's a lot less patriotism, a lot less pride for what this country stands for.
Yeah.
And I feel like people have lost sight of that in general in this country. This is a country where people come from nothing, integrate into the culture, and build their lives, pay a fair share of taxes, have a stable social security net, and live their lives in peace.
Yeah.
That's what this country fundamentally is. This is
Supposed
what I
to
love.
be.
This is where I grew up.
Yeah.
This is the country I grew up in. And I grew up as a family. My family came from India. I'm born in Montreal. But as growing up as an immigrant, looking different from everybody and being accepted, yeah, I faced, different bouts of, quote unquote racism from different people who judged me, but overall, I was accepted in the culture. I was welcomed in the culture. I was encouraged to participate. I was encouraged to thrive and learn and educate myself and be part of this society and become a valuable member of society. And that's what this country truly is.
Yeah.
Whether that's the oath of allegiance or not, that was the social contract in this country. And so that is something that us as Canadians need to remember. Like you want to talk about philosophy, we got to remember the philosophy that makes this country great, and go back to it and prioritize it and make it part of the way we want to live.
That's a good point.
And I would say this more to our new immigrants as well. That if you want to integrate into Canada, you want to actually live in the country that you were promised, you have to be a part of that change. We have to, as a collective, be a part of that change and enforce that change and force that change in our politics by voting.
Absolutely. But I agree. But yet, the more I dive into it, the voting part, man, people are going to call me like an aristocrat or maybe an elitist here, but I've been looking into the great philosophers of this world. And I can't find one that actually was pro-democracy. This is kind of fucked up, right? Because I'm super American at heart and, I love Switzerland and their direct democracy aspects, but it's so easily perversed. So let's dive in. Let's see what we think, okay? Like
thought experiment.
The thought experiment. Call it the folly of democracy. The great thinkers of the past were right. And failing to listen to them will probably lead to our demise. Democracy is a lie. It is ruled by the most ignorant to enrich the most powerful. Plato warned us, democracy passes into despotism because when truth becomes a popularity contest, the crowds stop thinking and they start following whoever shouts the loudest. The ignorant vote for the comforting lie. The wise are drowned by the noise of the mob, and the politicians learn very quickly. It's easier to sell pleasure than virtue, easier to promise bread than discipline. The result? A nation addicted to comfort, governed by emotions, ruled by its own appetites. Plato compared democracy to a ship with no captain, where the sailors fight for control while the vessel drifts towards the rocks. And today, we call it progress. But remember this, when the mob becomes the master, truth becomes treason. And I was like, fuck. I mean, we're seeing it right now in real time in Canada.
100%.
This is what we're seeing right now. It's been 10 years of the same government that by all metrics, all accounts, all logic and statistics and data, and even our baser, deep down rooted gut feeling has been destroying our livelihoods. And all it took was a fresh face with fresh promises. And the Canadian voter, the average Canadian voter was like, yeah, he's an economist. Let's do it. All it took was, again, it's a popularity contest. It's not about logic. The problem with Poilievre is that he appeals to logic. He puts forth a lot of concrete, this is what I'm going to do, this is what's bad, this is how we can change it.
Mm-hmm.
But he does it in a very direct way. And that direct way comes across as almost condescending to the person now who is so used to being coddled and told, it's okay,
Mm-hmm.
you're fine, you did nothing wrong,
Mm-hmm.
don't worry, here's some bread. You know, discipline, again, sounds like an insult when you're fat as fuck. No, but for real,
Yeah.
you know? So this is why so many people you talk about, I don't like Poilievre, I don't like his arrogance. Okay, so you just rather a charismatic leader who's going to tell you, it's okay.
What you want to hear.
What you want to hear.
The sweet lies.
It's so true, man.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's disgusting.
Well, it comes down to a lack of direction on part of the country. This is what I was trying to say, is that we've lost sight of what this country is actually about.
Yeah.
Right. And when you lose sight of that, that's when it devolves into what you're describing, this decaying popularity contest. If the voter base can inform themselves more on economic policy, they could understand the culture war at play. They could understand society and how it's, changing and for the worse in a lot of ways. Well, then we have a place to jump from. We have a place to, but it comes down to, this is something you and I talked about, off camera, is that it's going to take a huge slap in the face, an economic slap in the face, for most people to wake up and realize this is not working.
Absolutely.
And I'm falling apart.
Well,
and that time is coming sooner rather than later. If you talk about just the mortgage renewals upcoming in 2026, that might be a massive slap on the face that Canadians actually need to realize, hey, our country is failing us. Our government is failing us.
They won't. And I'll tell you why they won't. Because the government, with its mouthpiece, the CBC, is just going to spin some other fucking boogeyman. Look, listen, it was COVID for a while.
Yeah.
Then he became Donald Trump. There's always a scapegoat. At one point, we were saying the inflation was caused by Russia.
Yeah, in Ukraine war.
They don't say that anymore.
Yeah.
Now the new boogeyman is Trump, right?
Yeah.
There's always an excuse. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. People are so unaware of the real fundamental nature that all you have to do is distract them. Just throw a fucking bone once in a while. And then when they're really about to rally and rebel against it, then you send them like a $200 like dividend check or something that they've done before, like in Quebec. There's like, it's the $200 Christmas check for the elderly. Like, it's weird shit like that they do. Which leads me to another thing too. I've identified personally some of my most favorite quotes about civilization from some of the greatest minds in history. And it ties a lot in what we're seeing today. But the reason I'm bringing it up today is to try to give some, get those fucking neurons firing, get people to wake up a little bit, It's so aggravating.
Yeah.
So first, let's start with Voltaire. Voltaire said, it's dangerous to be right when the government is wrong. We're living that right now with C9. Very much so. It's very dangerous. George Orwell, another great one. The further society drifts from the truth, the more it hates those who speak it. Once again, how fucking true is that, man? Woo! Then we got a fan favorite, Sir Winston Churchill. The best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter. or listening to Hub. I mean, that guy will make you shift your tune real quick. Then one of my personal favorite, Thomas Jefferson, 2 quotes of his. The first, when injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. And we're real close in Canada to that, by the way. And then the other one, this one is very well known. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. Notice again, how he understood that there's sacrifices that will be required. It's not about we need to replenish the tree of freedom or liberty with tyrants. No, there will have to be sacrifices. And that's from a letter he wrote. And it's such an interesting thing to be able to see the insights, the personal thought of such a great man. I mean, he was one of the drafters of the
Well, that's how history played out, right? In so many countries, in so many ways. So
it's true.
Those are all very valid quotes. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, wait, there's a couple more. Napoleon Bonaparte War is when the government tells you who your enemy is. Revolution is when you figure it out for yourself. Which is a little ironic as well, by the way, because I mean, all these guys seized power for themselves, but still, whatever. Last two. I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. And that's Mark Carney right there, by the way. This is why I don't believe him at all. And lastly, and this applies directly to Canada, the more corrupt the state, the more numerous the laws. And notice how they're trying to pass all these new laws, and again, none of them are about the economy or making your life better. It's all about control, under the auspice of security and safety, of course, always.
Yeah, we got to protect people from their feelings.
Makes you think. All right, so that was the thinking thinking moment. Hey, Hub, you require intelligence to understand these quotes. By the way,
Let's
needs a brain.
I'd love to move on to the tragic occurrence that happened
On Bondi Beach.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
I think we need to give those people their due respect.
Yes. Whew. Where to begin with this? Well, yesterday on Bondi Beach, which is a very famous place in Australia, by the way, there was a Hanukkah celebration where Jews gathered together to celebrate the first day of their holy holiday. It's like their Christmas, basically. And two deranged lunatic terrorists of Pakistani origin, but Australian-born, or at least one of them was Australian-born. They were a father and son duo. Took up arms and shamelessly, needlessly, senselessly killed 11 Australian citizens that were defenseless on the beach, including a 10-year-old girl, like a kid. They used a bunch of weapons, bolt-action rifles, pump-action shotguns. Several firearms were retrieved, and that went on for like over 10 minutes. Police response was meek, to be honest with you, to the point that even a bystander had to stand up and fight and disarm one of the terrorists. And we have to give him kudos to that. He stood up and did something that is incredible, courageous, a complete blatant disregard for his safety and well-being in order to save people. And he was later on injured and shot, survived, and he's recovering, thank God. And I have a lot of thoughts regarding all of this, but I'll let you start, because me, it's going to be a little bit more technical. It's about the structure of society and where we put our priorities.
Absolutely. Well, let's just start with the fact that the attack was done by radical Islamists.
Yes.
And by contrast, the person who tried to save them was also a Muslim. I believe his name was Ahmed El Ahmad, or
something like that.
Like that. And that's exactly what I wanted to talk about regarding this matter today. Because I read the comments that, you know, our viewers post and people that fall upon our videos. And one of the comments really struck me, because essentially what the person said was that, you know, it's cool when other people do it, but when Muslims do it, you guys criticize us. And he essentially, and I'm paraphrasing here, that's not the exact statement that they made, but essentially that's what they were boiling it down to. And saying that, you know, you and I are hypocrites, and essentially that, you know, we're whatever. He insulted us, and then that was the comment. And I read that comment, and
I'm gonna weep.
This happened literally the next day, where you and I are now calling the person who tried to save those people, who was a Muslim, Ahmed Al Ahmad, that's a Muslim name.
Sounds like it.
And we're commending him. We're saying we like this person. We thank God. These are the exact words you use. Thank God he's okay. Thank God he's recovering.
Yes.
And so this is what I want to say about radical Islam. That the quote unquote good Muslims that are against radical Islam need to stand up in our society against radical Islam, and they need to be the loudest voices against jihadists and Islamists, because they're the ones who take away the credibility of immigrants that came into Canada just like my father, And it doesn't matter whether you came from Pakistan or Saudi Arabia or India or any of these countries. It matters what you do when you come to this country, who you are, how you practice your faith.
Mm-hmm.
And radical Islamists have no place in society, in Western society. They don't belong here. They are enemies of the state. And it's up to the Muslims that defend, that fight against this. People like Ahmed Al-Ahmad. It's up for people like that. It's up to people like that to stand up against these radicals, these lunatics, who should stay in their miserable Middle Eastern dumpster countries where crime statistics are ridiculous, domestic violence statistics, assault against children, sexual assault against children.
Why are you talking about Somalia like that?
Is rampant. I'm not talking about just Somalia. I'm talking about Pakistan. I'm talking about Afghanistan. I'm talking about Somalia. I'm talking about these countries. You know,
sure.
We talk about radical Islamists killing Christians and Nigerians.
Yep.
Christians in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. We're talking about radical Islamists slaughtering Sudanese non-Muslims.
Yep.
You know, and at a certain point,
what's the religion of peace?
We draw the line. And again, I love so many Muslims. People like Ahmed Al-Ahmad are very good friends of mine in my own personal life. I do business with Muslims that I respect tremendously, that I can count on their word, that they say, I'm going to pay you, they pay me. And I tell them I'll pay you, I pay them. And these are the people that I welcome with open arms into my country. People that work hard, people that bring value to society, to the people around them, and share their culture, share their food, share their cuisine, share their values. I love those people. But as soon as you bring a radical Islamist in front of me, you're an enemy of the state. Get out of this country. I draw a hard line there as an Indian immigrant.
But it's hard, and we discussed this last night, but, you know, various studies have shown that up to 24% of Muslims are radicalized. It's a huge amount of individuals. How do you vet? How do you prevent it from happening? Furthermore, there's plenty that just sit on the sideline because and this is where it gets a little tricky, is that their true allegiance is still to their people. They don't see themselves as, let's say, Canadians or Americans or Europeans or Australian. They see themselves as living in Australia, but they're not Australian. Their allegiance is truly still to their people. The same way in North Carolina when Irina was stabbed by the criminal there, and she's in a bus surrounded by 5 or 6 people that are not of her culture. And they just looked at her bleed to death because these people have no empathy for them. There's truly a thing about cultural empathy. There is. We're tribal animals. So it makes it hard, man. I agree with you. There's good people everywhere, and there's rotten apples everywhere. There's plenty of rotten apples here in Quebec, you know? But, I mean, for the most part, they eat their Mae West, they drink their Pepsi, and they smoke their fucking clubs. But, like, the thing is, I don't know, man. I feel like the floodgates have been opened to a point now where we spoke about it last week, but re-immigration is probably the only solution until we can start from a clean slate. Like, we kind of have to say, look, it's going to suck. It's like going to the gym. It's like cleaning your room. Your room's going to get messier first. Going to the gym. It's going to hurt at first and you're going to see no results. But we're going to start anew. We fucked up. Re-immigrate most people. And from there, let's start again. Immigration is not bad, but we clearly got it wrong this time.
Absolutely. In the last 10, since Justin Trudeau came into office,
we got it completely
it's
wrong.
been a disaster.
My biggest issue, well, I have plenty of issues regarding what happened in Ausland, and I'm a little bit apprehensive and even bringing them up right now because it's so fresh. But, you know, to me, it's in Australia, they took away all their citizens' guns many, many years ago after what's called the Tasmania massacre. There was a massive massacre, a mass shooting, and the government went hard, like it went ham, and it just legit passed a law that banned like all guns pretty much and forced every gun owner, which was a lot of people in the country because, you know, Australia is a fairly rural country. There's a lot of hunting, a lot of firearms, and they forced everyone to turn them in for destruction. And it was the biggest confiscation of firearms in pretty much like the planet. And they were told in exchange that, you know, the country would be safer for it. Less guns, less murders, less crime, less mass shootings. And at face value, it sounds good at face value. And we're seeing the exact same thing right now. The premise is always public safety, but, you know, Canada right now is doing the same thing. We're passing gun confiscation laws. I'm myself as a firearm owner. I'm a firearm owner. I own several guns, and almost overnight, most of them became illegal to own, and I'm going to have to surrender them to the government for destruction, which is going to effectively leave me defenseless. Here's the thing. Good people, without their means to defend themselves, are purely defenseless against evil. Evil will find ways to acquire weapons. I mean, look, in France has banned guns and like AK-47s and assault rifles a long time ago. It didn't stop Charlie Hebdo, the massacre from Charlie Hebdo. It didn't stop the Bataclan. In Norway in 2011, there was a massacre. Again, guns over there are tightly regulated. The streets of Malmö in Sweden is legitimately like Mogadishu. It's disgusting. Crime left and right and shootings and grenades, fucking grenades. And yesterday, Australia, banning guns and preventing good people from having them does the opposite. Hamed, who had to wrestle the firearm away from the terrorist, had to put his life in danger because he was not armed. All the videos we saw, that's another thing that struck me. The amount of videos from people that had vantage points. All those videos we saw, people on like second floors or far away recording the shooting for 10 minutes, like steady camera recording it. Powerless to stop the massacre, the onslaught. Had they been in the US, someone would have retrieved a fucking gun and shot these terrorists. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying they wouldn't have created chaos and may have killed a few people at the jump. They had the element of surprise, and that has to be accounted for. But no way they would have been allowed to continue for 10 straight minutes of shooting upon shooting with no resistance. The police did nothing. The police did fuck all. Mm-hmm. People had to, again, attack physically, but you know how hard it is to go wrestle a gun from someone? You know?
How risky it is.
How risky it is.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you're defenseless. We keep being told to trust the government with everything. Borders, safety, economy. But the truth is...
Which they all fail at.
Exactly. Everything the government touches turns to shit. It's time for us to reclaim our agency, our power, our liberties, and stop relying on them for everything. They don't care about you. They don't. They don't care about us. Interestingly enough, the county in the U.S. with the most concealed weapons licenses is the safest county in all of the U.S. A country like Switzerland, which mandates that every male citizen serve in the military for 2 years and then keep their service rifle, their full-fledged, fully automatic military assault rifle at home with ammunition until they're 45, which is the moment they exit the reserve, is one of the lowest crime countries in the world. Having guns is not the issue. There's plenty of issues for shootings and for crime. The U.S. clearly has issues as well. But having access to, good people having access to firearm evens out the playing field. I speak about this all the time as well. I've had this debate with, because oftentimes it's women. They're scared of guns. They're scared. It's fine. But I say, what if there was a 200-pound man that wanted to have his way with you? What could you do? Truly nothing. I don't care how much karate, taekwondo, BJJ you fucking know. This guy weighs 200 pounds.
Sit on you.
Yeah. And is like 6 feet plus. And you're like this little 5 feet tall, like 100 pounds wet kind of girl. There's nothing you can do. Now, what if you had a firearm? Well, sometimes they'll say, yeah, but like, what if he also has a gun then? Well, congratulations. The balance of power now is even. Mm-hmm. Right now, as it stands, the balance of power is in his hands because he's stronger than you. If you have a gun and he doesn't, then the balance of power is in your hand. And if he has one and you have one, at least you're fucking
50,
equal.
50. You either make it or you don't.
I mean, why would you not want that?
Yeah.
In Canada, by the way, instead of confiscating guns from law-abiding firearm owners, which, by the way, has been proven in a study from McMaster University, Dr. Langman did a study, peer-reviewed, published in the Journal of Interpersonal Violence, that Canadian firearm owners are 3 times less likely to commit a violent crime than the average Canadian. Furthermore, firearms laws in Canada that have been passed since 1995, because prior to 1995, Canada's gun laws were very similar to the US. It was pretty much unrestricted. Since 1995, the laws that have been passed on the books that are ever so increasingly tight and strict and authoritarian have not reduced crime by any amount. His study shows that there's been no appreciable, there's been no statistical reduction in crime and violence because of the gun laws in Canada since 1995. So it's just make-believe. It's feel-good bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, to be honest, it's like security at the airport. If you've worked at the airport, which I have when I was younger, you realize it's so easy to smuggle shit through security. Like, where there's a will, there's legit a way. Well, same thing with guns. People, criminals smuggle guns. There's plenty of guns around you all the time. You just don't know about it. You know who doesn't have guns? You. You know who has guns? The politicians that tell you shouldn't have guns. They're protected by guns left and right. And then the criminals who want to harm you, they have guns. You're the only one who's left without a tool. And fuck guns, tasers, freaking pepper spray, you name it. All those tools are banned in countries like Canada, the UK, Australia. You're defenseless. You're told your life is not that freaking worth it.
It's not worth protecting.
Yeah, that pisses me off, man.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. And I think self-defense is vital
It's a
in life.
fundamental right.
It's fundamental right. And I think humans should be trained. I think law-abiding, good people should be trained to protect themselves, to protect their families, to protect their community, their culture, because there are bad people in the world that want to do bad things and take things for themselves away from people who earned it. You're talking about just armed robbery. Just let's leave it at armed robbery. There are people that will come and take your things. We've seen it in Toronto. We've seen it everywhere in Canada. Just grow and grow and grow.
Yep.
And these people have illegal guns. And quite frankly, you don't know what they have. You don't know what their intentions are. But they will break into your house. They will hurt you.
Yeah.
And they will do things. There is a rampant increase in crime. And yet, the Canadian, the taxpayer, the person who is working hard, trying to make ends meet in this decaying country, this disgusting garbage economy that Canadians are suffering through. Okay? And you have to survive through that. And then and I'm a Sikh, and I will say it, a fresh new Punjabi immigrant comes in and tries to rob your house, which happens quite often, and you can't do anything?
It's
someone who should not even be in this country.
Yeah, that's another thing that's fucked up is that
illegal migrants.
Yeah, illegal migrants on top of that. They have more rights than you do. Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
Try to think about that this holiday season.
Well, let's end this episode on a little bit of a funnier note. This is something that you actually sent me.
Yeah.
And I decided to bring it up here. We're going to talk about Onlyfans.
Oh.
So, no, but it's because, first of all, it's a little bit funnier, but Canada ranks 3rd for the most OnlyFans creator in the world. Can you believe that?
Yep.
The 20 countries with the most OnlyFans creator is number 1, the United States, with over 1.1 million creators. This is all creators confounded or like aggregated together, right? You could be like a gym trainer or something, of course. The United Kingdom, the UK, the home of Bondi Blue, and what's the other one's name? They all look the same to me. Whatever. 280,000 creators. Then we have Canada, third at the 3rd rank, roughly 175,000 creators. Then Australia with 140,000, Germany with 105,000, Brazil with 105, and France at 70,000, with Mexico, Spain, Italy at all 70,000. And it goes down all the way down to India, which is only about 10 to 25,000. I guess it's not really well seen in India, even though India is 1.1 billion people. The ratio is ridiculous. But the reason why I was bringing it up is because it got me thinking. And I think the decay of the West is actually exemplified by the OnlyFans, the OF epidemic. See, when so many women take the path of selling their bodies and thus contributing very little to society, I mean, no mothers, no kids, no actual job,
no actual economic production.
Well, there you go, which produces something in society, right? The only thing they do is they promote carnal, hedonistic pleasures. And when so many men, because this is not just women, I'm going to hit both, when so many men indulge in these OnlyFans creators, instead of going out there and actually socializing, meeting actual women, pair bonding, having kids, building something, I don't know, doing something productive for society, it becomes a sad, perverse world with no higher purpose, no building for tomorrow, no aspiring for more. And we've seen this in every empire and every civilization in decline. There is this shift towards perversion, towards hedonism. I mean, we saw it in the Weimar Republic. We saw it in Rome was another great example during the fall of the Roman Empire. All these shows and spectacles were promoted, and pleasures and decadence was pushed forward instead of discipline and looking for a better tomorrow. I think OnlyFans is a symptom of a decaying society. So much so that even China has banned now OnlyFans, calling it a Western disease that causes societal decay. And I mean, I kind of agree.
Well, well, to contrast the graph that you shared, did you know that not only is Canada on top of, in terms of content production, they're also number 2 in spending money on OnlyFans. So I have this graph right here. So 2025's top 20 spending countries on OnlyFans. Okay. And this is per 10,000 population, per 10K. Okay. Finland, number 1, you naughty Finns.
Oh, Suomi.
$127,422.87 per 10,000 people.
No way.
Okay.
I mean, the Finns are naughty. I'll give them that. No. The Finns are the naughtiest motherfuckers in this world. They really are.
And Canada is number 2. Okay, at $88,711.25 per 10,000 people.
Bet you it's all from Quebec.
You know what's embarrassing about this? You know what's embarrassing about this? Canada's like bottom of the OECD for economic growth for future of the country.
That's a good point.
They're it's one of the highest indebted nation in the world. But the only thing that we're best at is producing and consuming OnlyFans content. It's embarrassing.
Well, actually, I take
Australia
it back.
actually is number 3.
It's not even all from Quebec. It's from just Laval. We used to call it Land de Fille Facile back in the days. Have you ever heard that? Laval, Land de Fille Facile? The 450?
No.
Oh, baby. The younger days. But also Quebec, Canada, but Quebec, Montreal is also pretty much the porn capital of the world.
Not surprised. I think
The
one of the porn companies,
the biggest porn
launched
company
in Montreal.
The biggest porn company is in Montreal. The biggest.
Okay.
MindGeek. It's on DeCarry, 777 DeCarry Street. It's a building all white, all glass. My CTO used to work there. Pornhub belongs to MindGeek. YouPorn, RedTube, Brazzers, they all belong to MindGeek. It's all from here. They corner 70% of the tube market. Anyways, good going. Yeah.
Canada's number 2.
Nice.
Australia is number 3 at $88,600.50. I don't know which country this is. Guernsey.
Oh, Guernsey. Guernsey is a crown dependency of the British Crown, so it's like a territory. It's like the Isle of Man. Okay,
well, the Isle of Man is next, and the United Kingdom is the one after that. So looks like the English people need to do some homework. Maybe focus on the radical Islam is destroying your country, as opposed to which OnlyFans content creator you need to follow.
That's amazing. That's fucking great.
The United States is next at $77,334 per 10,000 people. Then Ireland. Seems like our English people need to.
Oh, don't do that. That is dangerous. It's like an Indian calling a Pakistani an Indian. Okay? Don't do that.
Well, India's nowhere on this list.
The Irish and the English don't love each other. They don't love each other at all. They have a very contentious history.
True.
Yeah. That you get shot out there for that.
Yeah, but I mean, you all speak English, so.
In the UK, I'd say it's pretty Arabic, but yeah.
The UK's new language is not English anymore.
No.
England is no longer an English country.
England is no longer an English country. No, it has fallen. That is wild, man.
Well,
I guess to wrap this up, since this is the last episode of the year, do you have any wishes in the new year for the viewers, for Canada, for yourself, for your family, for people? Any words?
May you have a very capitalist 2026.
Fucking Christ. All right. Is that what you want to lead with? I'll take.
Honestly, I will say that I do hope that we wake up in this country. I wish all my fellow Canadians, even the ones I disagree with and vehemently resent,
Yeah.
I hope you have a very happy holidays. Very Merry Christmas. I say this as an Indian man, as a Sikh man.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
yes.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We love Jesus. Jesus
let's
was a
bring
good
back
person.
Jesus.
Let's remember Jesus and thank him for everything he's done in his life. That's the whole point of Christmas. Spend the time with our families. Come back together. We are stronger with our families, united. And
Absolutely.
I wish that for all my fellow Canadians.
Yeah. You also need to speak in the mic. It's a little late now, but because you're like this the whole time. Yeah.
I think you'll still pick
this
it up.
This is where we have the feedback. To that, I will say, yeah, it's not happy holidays. It's Christmas. It's Merry Christmas. The tradition is rooted in the birth of Christ. And whether you are a practicing Christian or you are atheist and don't believe in it at all, the values behind it and what it signifies and what it brings are what you should be keeping in your heart right now. It's not about the gifts. It's not about Santa Claus. It's about being with your family. It's about taking care of one another. It's about loving each other. It's about selflessness, donating, being there for the needy. And this is coming from someone who donates a lot to the needy. I'm a Quebec taxpayer. So. But jokes aside, for 2026, I wish everyone to use their time in whichever way is most likely to affect their happiness. Time is our most finite and valuable resource. We have a finite amount. Once we expend it, we never give it back. The minutes, the time, the moments you spent, you can never have them back. They're gone. Your energy is the same. Once expended, you can never have it back, and you have a finite amount. And here's what's insidious about it. You don't even know how much you have to begin with. You and I could have hopefully many decades ahead of us, or we could have mere minutes left. We don't know. So use that time very wisely. Don't invest it on things that don't bring you personal benefit. Not benefits, I should say, that don't bring about fulfillment, that don't bring about purpose. We spoke about purpose yesterday, and I think that's very important. It's for you to find out your purpose. And cut out the negative if possible. Focus on the good.
Bad habits.
There's more good in the world. There's more good in the world than you realize.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for us, and we do highlight a lot of shit, and we talk hardly about any good. And there's nothing I desire more in 2026 than hopefully having a candidate that we can talk good about. But if you log off, close your laptop, shut off the apps, and go talk to other people in the streets, you'll realize you share a lot more in common with them than you could ever realize. So let's love one another a little bit. Not in the Onlyfans kind of way, by the way. Don't encourage the online thoughts.
I love you, Elliot.
Much love. Much love. Merry Christmas, Simmer. Merry Christmas to you as well. And a Happy New Year to everyone.
See you all in the new year.
Happy New Year, guys.